Well, good morning, everybody. Welcome to Nurse Mark and the Green Nurse Daily Dose of AFA,
where we bring you hope and inspiration for growth and healing so you can start your day. I'm sorry, I can't stop laughing.
I like that.
I know, right? So here you go. So we can bring you hope and inspiration for growth and healing so you can start your day off the AFA way. And in case you have forgotten what that is, Mark.
Well, that just means you're absolutely fucking amazing, exactly as you are. So,
Even if you're just ahead.
even if you're just ahead, even if you're a floating head, you're okay. No, you're absolutely amazing without anything being added or different about you. So, welcome, Thursday, February 4th. And it's good that you were laughing earlier, Sherry, because the daily love is about happiness.
There you go.
Yeah.
Oh my God, I love that. What can we do to make ourselves and other people happy?
I know. And it's so this is from Live a Life You Love. And this is called Happiness is an Inside Job. Yeah. And it's pointing out that happiness isn't outside of us. It's not about things. Like when I have more of this, if I have this particular item, if I have this relationship in my life, then I'll be happy. And it's not that way at all.
Yeah.
Because being happy can't have something in mind.
Well, you know what?
Something in the foreground.
Mark, I completely agree with you. And I could just share a little story for yesterday. Yesterday, you know how we're building this business and we're, trying to help people and expand.
Yep.
Getting impatient. I was like, I want it now. I want it now. And so, the whole manifestation process can take time. So I'm scrolling, doing a little bit of Facebooking, to share information. And all of a sudden, Mike Dooley pops up on my screen and he's about thoughts become things. Okay. And he did a 3-minute live on manifestation and how manifestation happens slowly, and that we don't need to force anything. We don't need to do anything. We don't need to push anything. And he said the number one thing that we can do for ourselves to create a magical life that we desire is to be happy right now.
That's always the message. Just be happy right now, and everything else will fall into place.
And so here's the other thing too, is like if people, places, things, thought forms, energies, situations that are outside of ourselves that are coming in and don't feel good. It's like, oh, this isn't making me happy. Well, here it is it's being reflected to you because the happiness starts on the inside. And so once you can get that calm, peaceful, loving feeling and be happy with what you have, and that's going to be mirrored back to you, right? In ways that you've never imagined.
That is right.
That is right. So cheers.
Yes. So the word of the day today is happy.
Yeah. And I couldn't stop laughing. It was just funny to come on this morning.
Yeah.
And see a floating head. So the giggles came in, and it's just because, here it is what part of what makes me happy is not taking myself so seriously. Right. And to
it's all a joke anyway.
It's all a joke anyway.
All a big joke. That's what you find out at the end.
Exactly.
I'm worried for nothing. It's all a big joke.
It's all a big joke.
So here we are. This is Throwback Thursday.
And our health tool of the day, really quick, is breath work. Again, I know that we got to plug that. Here it is. Here's the tool for you all just to consider. Breathe in. Happiness. You can make happiness and breath come together. There you go. How about that? Every time you think a happy thought, take a deep breath and let that happiness circulate in our body.
That is a fabulous idea.
It is a great idea. I'm a little hyper this morning, so I feel like
I'm completely on the other end of the spectrum. Like I took a 5 milligram melatonin last night. And I'm telling you, I'm still maybe I'm sleeping. None of this is real right now. I can't really tell you.
I feel the same way. I feel like I'm a little buzzy because, I was hooked up to electronics all day. We did 3 shows yesterday.
That's a long day.
It's a long day, so I'm like vibrating still. So,
all right, lean back away from the screen. All right, so here we are, February 4th. It is, of course, Black History Month.
Yes.
And, I wrote about this particular story in my book, and it's a hard story to hear, but it needs to be heard because, Sherry, we talk about things that
That people
people
don't want
don't
to talk about.
necessarily want to talk about, and they're uncomfortable. And this is one of those uncomfortable stories that needs to be told because we need to understand what happened in the history.
Exactly. Yeah.
So this is the story of Hayes and Mary Turner. Okay,
I'm listening, all
here
ears.
we go. May 1918 in Georgia. There was a young white plantation owner who was known to be a very mean person, was murdered. And the local town went crazy, of course, and they arrested Hayes Turner. Now, Hayes was a black man that lived in the town, and he had an altercation with this white man earlier, years earlier, because the white plantation owner had beaten Mary Turner, and Hayes
Mhm.
couldn't stand that, of course. And so Hayes was arrested earlier for that, was convicted by the all-white jury, was sent to chain gang. He served his time and he came out, and so he was living in the town when this man was murdered. And Hayes was arrested, and so the sheriff took him from that little jail, was bringing him to the county, supposedly. A mob grabbed Hayes and hung him shortly after they got outside the town.
Oh, wow.
And so that's just part of the story. Mary, of course, distraught, vows publicly that she's going to find who did this to her husband. So the next day, a mob grabbed her.
Oh.
And this is where it gets really hard to hear, as if that's not hard enough.
Mm.
They took her, they hung her upside down. Now,
Oh, God. I don't know.
Mary's 7 months pregnant, by the way.
Oh, Jesus.
She's 7 months pregnant. They take her, they hang her upside down, pour gasoline on her, and light her on fire. And before she's dead, they cut that little baby out of her belly. The baby falls onto the ground alive, and one of the men crushes its head in the dirt.
I didn't know that. I think I skipped that part of your book.
So that's a hard story to hear.
Murder.
Story that needs to be heard.
Innocent people being murdered. Why?
And here's the thing. Hayes was innocent. They found the black man who had killed that white plantation owner a few days later. So Hayes and Mary Turner were killed because of the color of their skin.
Right? It had nothing to do with anything. They were completely 100%
innocent
and victimized because of the color of their skin.
And so that's the world. That's the United States at that time. And so those kinds of things
generational trauma,
don't
right?
just leave society, those kinds of things. So we're talking about it because we want to break the stigma of talking about it.
Yeah.
I never would have known about Hayes Turner and Mary Turner unless I had gone looking for it. It's not taught in the school systems. So
and how
I'm glad we were able to talk about them, and I honor them.
Yes. And this is the other thing too. I'm embarrassed that I don't know that story. Okay. So how's that for being vulnerable? Like literally, I'm 50 years old. And I've never,
what? I bet there are probably thousands of those stories and just not ever going to hear about that.
Not ever going to hear about it. So what does that create? That creates trauma.
Right.
Right? Trauma for the families, traumas for the town, trauma, who knows about the trauma response of those people that actually did the murdering, because generally we are not evil people. We are not people that go out and murder. So what was it about? What was the switch? That went off.
It's fear. It's always fear.
Mm.
It's always fear. So Throwback Thursday. Sometimes the stories aren't happy. That's why in the beginning we talked about being happy.
Yeah.
So We can be happy that progress has been made.
Progress slowly.
Not nearly where it needs to be. Right, Melissa? Generational trauma.
And it passes on from family to family to family, from story to story to story.
Mm-hmm.
And we all know what happens when, we're faced with trauma. That trauma response is fight or flight.
Right.
It's fight, flight, freeze, collapse. Those are the 4 things.
Exactly. And that's what gets triggered. So
that's what gets triggered.
So that's Throwback Thursday, Sherry. It's not such a happy story, but again, we can honor that we're aware of it now, and we can make sure that they're not forgotten. And
So Mark,
towards more change, Sherry. Woo!
What's great is that you did bring it up in your book. So Mark's book is the title of our show. Absolutely fucking amazing. Living the life you love. And so the part that I find even more compelling is how you were able to bring that story into your book, as hard as it is to hear, to help people look at things that...
The reason I tell that story, Sherry, is because it happened in 1918, and I was setting the stage for how marijuana became illegal in 1937 because it was race-based. So you needed to understand what was going on in the United States at that moment in time, how just open and blatant and awful the racism was at that time. And that's how we got to that 1937 decision that was not based anything on science, in opinions of experts. It was just political and racist. And so you needed to know this story in order to understand that story.
Yep. Wow, Mark.
Yeah. So what are you going to do for a healthy thing for you today, Sherry? Because you say you're glowing. Are you going to step away from the computer for a little bit?
I am going to step away from the computer a little bit, and I'm going to be doing some breath work later at 9 in a few minutes. And I'm also going to be doing some energy work, a different type of energy work, using Reiki, reconnecting healing, and Healy frequencies, which is really cool. Because at the Green Nurse, we're about biopsychosocial spiritual. And some of the spiritual tips and tricks and tools that have really been helpful for myself and patients that we work with are these energy healing modalities. And breath work fits right into that, because with the breath work, how powerful it is, how much freedom could we have if we all learned how to breathe deeply, bringing spirit in, changing your perception through breath.
Absolutely. Sherry, tell me a little bit more about Reiki and reconnective healing. What's the difference between those?
Well, the difference between Reiki and reconnective healing, actually, Reiki's been around for a lot longer. Energy healing is tapping into, I'll call it the divine matrix, and bringing in frequencies and vibration into our field, and so that we can work with it. So energy healing works on our bioenergetic field. We have auras, we have chakras. These are things that people can't see, but just because you can't see them doesn't mean that they're there. So Reiki is a little bit more technique focused, where reconnective healing is more free flowing. And so with both modalities, you're actually calling in frequencies and you're feeling them and finding them. Reiki has specific moments. It can be hands-on, hands-off, it can be remote. Reconnective healing, I'm just going to explain a little bit different, and it kind of reminds me of the endocannabinoid system. That's kind of how I explain the reconnective healing. So reconnective healing is truly about staying present, grounded, and mindful, playing with frequencies. You must have a childlike experience, be grounded in your body, being present, being focused like a child. Like when they're doing something, they're really, really into it. So it's calling in those frequencies, bringing them in, bringing the person into your heart, whether it be they're in your presence or remote. And the same thing, you bring in the frequencies, you find them, you feel them, and you play with them. So, and it's not directing, it's not, reconnective healing isn't directing, isn't sending. What it's doing is allowing people to receive. So as a practitioner, I become the observer and the observed. I am the facilitator. I don't tell the energy what to do. It just does its thing. So I look at reconnective healing being at the very tippy top of the umbrella. And all of the spokes of the umbrella are all of the other energy healing modalities that exist. So the reconnective healing opens up the door to the divine matrix where all possibilities exist. And then as I find and feel those frequencies, bring the person into my heart and work with that energy, whatever a person needs is pulled down from that umbrella into their body. Really cool.
Really cool.
Yeah. And so the other thing that we're going to do, impromptu, last minute, we have all of the green nurses, you're going to be certified soon. We have a new practitioner coming on that's going to teach practitioners how to do Reiki. So tomorrow we're doing a little live at 9 a.m. in the green nurse community, where we're going to be talking a little bit about Reiki, a little bit about reconnective healing, and we're going to talk about Healy, which is a really cool microcurrent device that has quantum sensors that does very similar work to Reiki and reconnective healing. So really, really new, evolutionary, progressive. Energy healing's been around for a long time.
For a long time, but now it's getting some serious, it's like seriously being looked at, right, as being viable, and so working with energy, that's the new part of healthcare.
It is. And the really quick question too, and one of the things we'll show, because I'm just going to say, Carrie Lee, if you're out there, she's creating really great graphics. Our cells in our body carry a frequency and a vibration. It is actually measurable. So how I feel like my body feels when I'm using energy work and really playing with the energy and the frequencies and being open to receive it, I feel like my cells get filled up with gas. That's the best way I can explain it, is I feel like expansive and lighter. So you have that love, that light, that information coming into our bodies.
So good.
3 cheers for energy work and breath work.
Yeah. Hip, hip, hooray.
Hip, hip, hooray.
Yeah.
So it is Thursday. We all hope you have a wonderful day. If you or someone you love is suffering from chronic illness, chronic debilitating disease, pain, or if you're cannabis curious and want to learn how to incorporate this plant into your daily regimen for health and wellness, or if you're really curious and you want to have a safe, fun adult use experience, we are here to teach you all about that. Because when we're teaching you, whatever way we're teaching you how to use this plant, we're really, truly teaching you about your endocannabinoid system, which is the most important system in our body. So come visit us at The Green Nurse, www.thegreennurse.com.
Thegreennurse.com. And of course, if you're in the healthcare space in any capacity, helping someone be healthy, and you want to learn more about how to integrate cannabis into that, we are here for you. We can help you understand the endocannabinoid system and how cannabis interacts with it, and all of the things that you need to know to help someone else understand it. And that's what we want to do. We want to just spread the word.
Spread the word.
All right, Sherry.
So what kind of a day are we having today, Mark?
A happy AFA day, Sherry.
Yeah, we are.
And
remember
what's it all about?
It is truly. Remember what it's all about. Everyone, it's about living your best life and helping others do the same. So have an AFA day.
Yeah. Thanks for stopping by, everybody. Love you guys. Always good to see you in the morning. And all right, we'll see you tomorrow morning.